Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dokkan Battle video, and today I want to talk about some of the new EZAs that were announced on JP Dokkan. So what we have is we have the 50% supports are finally getting their EZAs in quite a big way. And then we also have the EZA for LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And the reason why I want to make this video, I mean, we'll go over all the units and talk about them, but they're a few days old, so a lot of people already know what's kind of going on with these guys. But I want to talk about, do we think that this means there's a new power creep coming in Dokkan? And I think there is. Anniversary is usually a time where they will introduce a new power creep. The year 7 power creep was gigantic. Like, the year 7 units were just on a completely different level than everybody else. And then the content was so difficult for anything before the 7th anniversary, right? Now, last year with the 8th anniversary, there wasn't nearly as much power creep, and units kind of felt good for longer. So part of it is I feel like we're due for new, like, big power creep right now because they didn't do it last anniversary. But two, because of how insanely powerful these EZAs are, on top of the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, basically these units are hitting attack and defense stats that are pretty much unheard of in the game without doing like crazy nuke strategies, right? Like just playing the game naturally, you're going to see some numbers that we've never seen before. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go through just what the passives are on the 50%. So I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to use Kaba here as an example because all their passives are going to be the same. It's just anywhere where it talks about like a type orb, it's going to be for whatever type they are. And then if it mentions super extreme class, it's going to match whatever class the character is, right? The only thing that's different about these units are the super attack effects will be different, right? So I'm going to talk about, we'll use Kaba here as an example to see what they do. And then we're going to hop over to Twitter and we're going to look at defense calcs that were done by Halvard. And I will link Halvard's Twitter in the description. Definitely check him out. He's a very good follow on Twitter because he will just post defense calcs for units. And one of the things I want Dokkan to do eventually is do a mid-turn, where we can see the defense in a UI, but they don't have that yet. So it's nice having access to somebody that can tell us what their post super attack defense stats are, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at Kaba here. So the leader skills are going to be key 4 and then HP attack and defense 150 for their typing. This is actually an incredible leader skill. This is the strongest like type only leader skill in the game. Now in like red zone and stuff, you're not really going to run this, but this is very good for battlefield. These are by far the best battlefield leaders in the game. So you're going to want to put them on your ultimate clash / battlefield teams, right? His specific super attack effect is raises attack and defense by 50% for 9 turns. So him and Int Gohan, I believe, are both of the defense stackers for 9 turns. And I think STR Hit also stacks defense, and he stacks infinitely. So I think Int Gohan, STR Kaba, and STR Hit are probably going to be the best ones because they all have the ability to stack defense for a good chunk, right? So here's what all of the 50% support EZAs are going to have. They're going to get, let me see, key plus 3 and attack and defense 10% for anybody of their typing as a support. They're going to do additional attack and defense 50% for their class and type, right? So Kaba, for example, gives STR units key 3 attack and defense 10. And then if they're super STR, they get an additional attack and defense 50%. So for whatever support unit you're running, if they match the class and type, it is a 3 key 60% support, which is actually kind of crazy. They've actually made these units versatile enough that I don't really care if I'm running the full same type and class. They're still giving some support to some of the units. And on their own, I think these units are good enough that you're just going to want to run them as like a unit, not even considering the support, right? So they randomly chase key orbs that are not their typing to their typing. They get an additional attack and defense 50% per key sphere obtained, and an additional attack and defense 10% and crit chance 10% per key sphere obtained of their typing. Okay, so what's going to happen is Kaba, for example, if I grab STR orbs, he's getting 60% attack and defense per orb, which is insane. It changes all key spheres into their typing if 2 or more of their class is on the team and your HP is 50% or lower. So they actually do. So what's going to happen is for all of these EZA 50% support units, I guess now we call them 60% support units, when you hit 50% HP or less once only, as long as you have 2 or more of their class on the team, it'll change all key spheres to their typing. So you're going to get a full field of 23 orbs, okay? And then they activate guard for 4 turns from the start of battle if there are 3 or more other of their typing on the teams. So what's crazy about this, especially for stacking units like Kabe, Gohan, and Hit, is they're going to be weaker at first until they stack their defense up. You're going to get guard for 4 turns if you have enough of the right typing on the team to help them when they're a little bit weaker. And then by the time they lose this, their defense is going to be insane. And you're going to see that when we look at the defense calcs, right? So let's go ahead and hop over to that here. So let's look at these units. So here's the Int Vegeta, so just so you can see what he looks like. And what you're going to see here is usually starter turn defense not very good, right? Only 100k defense. But remember, these units are getting 50 to 60% per orb. So what he's done here is he's done a nice balance where he shows you what they look like with 6 orbs, which I think is a pretty standard number to go off of. You're usually going to be around that range, especially with the orb changing. And then with 23 orbs, which is actually a realistic number to grab because of their ability that's going to pop off when you're below 50%, right? So Vegeta here, which I would say is probably one of the worst of the units. Starter turn defense 100k, not very good, but with 6 orbs, 370k, which still isn't the craziest. And he doesn't stack defense, right? But on the turn where you get the 23 orbs, he's going to be 1.1 million. And then if you have support with him with another support unit, 1.15 million. So 1.1 million, I'm going to say that this Vegeta is kind of the floor here. And while you're not going to have this all the time, you're going to get it once during the fight, hopefully. And then this 370, there's going to be turns you're maybe better than that and maybe lower than that. So I think for this Int Vegeta as a floating option, he's just there. And then you hopefully can get enough orbs to get him to a respectable amount of defense to be able to survive a normal. And then on his crazy turn, you actually could put him in slot 1 at 1.12 million defense. You're going to be able to tank most attacks in the game, other than if he's type disadvantage. And I know there are a few attacks that are like 2 million, so like those ones might be a little bit too hard for him. But that's pretty good for what this guy was, right? Let's look at Int Gohan. Now, Int Gohan's going to get kind of wild here, because Int Gohan can stack defense, right? So once again, this is a unit that stacks defense. I don't know why my Twitter just flashed there. But you're going to see 114k starter turn, very weak. After 1 defense stack, because after Super he's going to be 171. If you get a double, he goes up to 229 on the first turn. Not crazy, but you have to consider they're getting orbs, right? So Gohan with only getting 6 Int Key Spheres on turn 1 is going to be over 600k defense after Super and 800k with just 1 additional. That's realistic. Turn 1 to get 6 orbs and double Super if you build them full additional, like that's a realistic turn to be at 6 to 800k turn 1. Now this is a unit that can stack defense for a bit, right? If you get 23 Int Key Spheres, if he gets an additional, he goes up to 2.5 million defense, which is crazy. But here's the thing. This would be hypothetically if you got 23 Int Key Spheres on turn 1, right? But let's look if he stacks a little bit. So just with 6 super attack effect stacks, he'd go up to 5 million defense, which is absolutely crazy. I do believe this is with 23 key spheres though. So if he has, if you get his turn where he stacked super attacks like 6 times and you get the 23 orbs, 5 million defense, 6 million if he double supers on that turn, with support goes up to 6.5 million. So even though you're not going to see it turn 1, the fact that this unit realistically could see 5 to 6 million attack stats in a fight that you're playing normally is kind of insane. And this is what I'm talking about when I feel like, are we getting to a new power creep where units can actually reach 4 to 5 to 6 million defense in a realistic situation? Now, has it been possible in the game already? Sure. I did a video on AGL LR Gohan getting 6 million defense, but guess what? It took me 80 turns to do that, right? So this is a unit that, you know, as soon as we get up to 6 super attack stacks, we get that passive where we're under 50%, and we did get that 23 key change, like bam, you've got it. It's actually realistic. So that's kind of crazy, the amount of defense we're seeing on these units, right? So I'll go a little bit faster. Here's the cell. This is the tech cell. So because he doesn't stack defense, he does get, I believe, a 1-turn defense stack. So you'll see after super, he actually gets kind of crazy, right? So like this cell, if he gets 6 orbs and an additional, he's almost 1 million defense. And that's without stacking. And then on his 23 key turn, 2.7 mil defense, right? So the stats on these units are kind of crazy. Here's Tien. Tien only maxes out at 1.1 million, and that's because he's got no defense on super, right? But even on the 23 key turn, he can still hit over 1 million defense. So all of these units can hit over 1 million defense. STR Hit's probably the one I'm really excited for because he infinitely stacks defense. And look at my boy Hit capping out at 7.6 million defense. Like, are you kidding me right now? Hit getting up to 7.6 million defense? Absolutely crazy. Just on the 23 orb turn, he could hit 3 million defense if he gets an additional. And then, yeah, with 6 stacks, up to 7.5 million. I am really excited for Kaba and Hit and that in Gohan. I think they're going to be crazy. Here's Kaba, by the way. Kaba capping out at just over 6 million defense. Like, it's crazy. And once again, it's not like they're stacking for like 80 turns and getting this. Like, they can realistically get this on, you know, turn 7, 8, 9, something like that, right? You have to get lucky with additionals, but it can definitely happen. Here is the Pan. Pan can get up to 2.5 million because Pan does get defense on super, so that's good. It's just not stacking. But any unit, I mean, I feel like additionals on most of these units is going to be pretty good. Because you notice any of these that get any defense, even if it's for one turn, I feel like putting additionals on them is a very good idea because there's such a jump, right? Going from, let's say we grab 6 orbs here with, I think, is this Rildo I'm on? Yeah, I'm on Rildo right now. Going from 680k defense to 912k just by getting that additional is huge. Like, that's the difference between living or dying a red zone super attack right there. So I think additional is going to be really important. Rildo, by the way, getting up to 2.8 million defense. Like, these units are crazy. These units are better than most summonable units and a lot of LRs in the game. It's kind of crazy. Like, this physical Super Boo right here, being a 60% support, being able to get up to over 2 million defense, like, this might be the best Super Boo in the game. Like, it's crazy. You know, we haven't really seen what their attack stats look like yet, but I'm guessing on those 23 orb turns, their attack stats are probably, I don't know, 10, 15 million. I don't know. They're probably going to be a crazy attack stat. Would they hit 20 mil? I guess I'll have to wait till I see showcases, but they're going to do some crazy numbers. And then here's the Gohan at 1.5 million. Does not get defense on super. So I'd say the units like Gohan here that aren't getting any defense on super, they're definitely the worst ones, but they're still usable and providing like a crazy amount of support, right? And then you go up here, we'll go up higher on Halvard's Twitter here, but you look up at this LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku, EZA, which he's got a screenshot, what is it, right here. We got a screenshot of this man hitting 60 million. Now, this is with like AGL Pan 2-turn support. And, you know, you could have Bulma 2-turn support. But I've already seen showcases of this guy under very normal circumstances hitting 40 mil attack stats. So the combination of this guy routinely hitting 40 to 60 million attack stats, and we're seeing defense calculations of, you know, 1.1 million to 6 million defense stats on summonable blue coin units, it's leading me to believe that there could be really huge power creep for the 9th anniversary. I think the summonable units are going to be putting up really crazy, insane numbers. It also means we're going to get a humongous jump in difficulty. So let me know what you think of these units. I think they're absolutely insane. Let me know who your favorite 50% support unit is. My favorite's going to be STR Hit for sure. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.